Ladies and gentlemen, trainers of all ages, welcome to the thrilling realm of the Discord Global Battle Association, also known as the DGBA. Prepare to embark on an extraordinary journey as a group of competitors dive headfirst into a world of strategy, friendship, and exhilarating battles that will leave you on the edge of your seat. These brave trainers have assembled to showcase their skills, unleash their cherished drafted Pokemon, and test the very limits of their bonds. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world where dreams become reality, where friendship and Pokemon unite, and where every battle is a chance for our heroes to prove their worth. This is the DGBA. The very first battle of the season belongs to Slick versus Lux. The DGBA is a pretty big deal, so there's a couple of mods running it. As it so happens, Slick is one of those DGBA mods. He's a solid player, always looking to improve and play against strong competition. He's also a known and friendly face across the community. Lux is a formidable, long-time playing strategical player who likes to get a little bit silly sometimes. They've won many other leagues in the past, including some renowned ones, looking to add more to that list. Lux's free time consists of enjoying collecting anime merchandise and watching just about anything, whether it be good or bad. And lately, Lux has been dabbling in the VGC world and has been looking to make a mark over there. This battle is pretty unique, as it's not only the first, but also these two coaches are going to be with each other IRL during the battle. Hopefully, the hacks isn't so bad that they get physical. The game's leads start off with a Breloom facing an Espathra. Breloom already proves to be useless and is forced out. After the Lumina crash, Slick switches back into Breloom, expecting Lux to switch out. Clever. Very clever. Surprisingly, Slick doesn't click the grass move, presumably trying to save health or something, and instead double switches into King Gambit. Then he just tears off the rip and blasts all over the Great Tusk. Uh-oh, it already looks like the beginning of the end. Lux overpredicts and lets the Fairy King Gambit boost his attack. Earthquake doesn't even do that much damage as King Gambit finishes Great Tusk off. Slick is showing no mercy with this mon, and then, oh my goodness, it lived? And then it killed the Samurott too. The bird is back and it revenges, but man, I'd be pretty happy if I were Slick right now. The damage has been done, and the only way I can see Lux winning at this rate is Yellow Magic and a Prayer. Screamtail also reveals some nasty setup, Slick not wanting to let up. Oh, and there's the Yellow Magic. And there's the Prayer. It doesn't matter though, as Slick is able to punch through the luck and deal the damage for a Noivern revenging. The draft player classic of U-turn into Rocks on Rocks happens. Nothing new there. And now the Breloom comes in. Remember when I called it useless? Yeah, please stop remembering. Also, looks like it is loaded dice, so banking on lower bullet seed hits is not an option for Lux. And just like that, it's over. Slick takes a commanding 4-0 win over Lux, having control of pretty much that entire game. Let's just hope he doesn't end up locked up in Lux's basement IRL. Game 2 of this week is TJ versus Brian. TJ is one of the men responsible for the running of Smogon's draft division, a position even he doesn't know how he got. He's been around the block for many years, yet is constantly disrespected due to poor performances in other places that continue to haunt him to this day. He comes into the season with one goal: to prove his doubters wrong. Brian, on the other hand, well, if he was any of the cards in a standard deck, he'd be the Joker. He's a wild card, and if you saw my last video, he's a goofy bally. Pioneer of the GOAT reacting his own image's trend, you can say he's something of a draft league icon, and he's here to claim the DGBA title. Looking at the immediate matchup, it's basically a Sun team versus a standard looking draft team. Not that that's a bad thing. And right off the rip, Brian leads and tears his Mew, revealing arguably his biggest mystery mon. Like, you have to understand that the information gap between players went insanely into TJ's favor after this, because for the most part, he already knew what Mew was, and Brian's Terra option was now gone for the rest of the game. Serial Edge also starts laying down the pain quickly, but then is forced out by a cool red card Donphan. But it looks like that surprised Brian more than TJ as he proceeds to try to encore it. Like, what? TJ pretty much owns every single turn here against this Donphan, and it starts looking really good for him. He gets in Walking Wake and starts steaming it up. But this Uxie must have had 600 EVs in special defense or something, because it was taking the hits pretty well considering it was a special attack boosting Walking Wake. And just when Brian thought the madness of Wake in the Sun was over, the funniest thing happened. At this point, I would have just started crying and throwing up and crying. Brian eliminates the threat, but at what cost? The big dog comes in and it actually does look a little threatening after landing the Stone Edge. Slitherwing is actually pretty annoying with the Sun Up boosting its speed. I'm guessing this mon is why Brian wanted his Mew to become a fairy type as soon as possible. Mew nabs the kill on Torkoal and gets his dog back in. With Sun ending soon, this is actually looking up for Brian. Instead of going Mew, however, he sacks his Dragonite, probably afraid of a U-turn. And now Greninja comes in on Ceruledge and the game gets very interesting. See, if Greninja clicks Hydro Pump on Excalibur or Dark Pulse on Slitherwing coming in, Brian gets in a very bad spot. But the opposite is also true for TJ. This becomes a 50-50 endgame where both sides need to have as many Pokemon as they can have, and then Brian makes the wrong call as TJ gets Slitherwing in on Dark Pulse, giving him a free U-turn. Mew is sacked and Greninja comes back in, causing this little game to happen again. But it's deja vu as TJ gets it right again, essentially ending the game for Brian. The next couple turns play out, but TJ finally reveals his Terra Dragon Ceruledge to end the game, with Brian forfeiting, as he was going to lose 100% from here. TJ takes the 2-0 victory over Brian, already showing his haters that he isn't as bad as they might think. Stay gold, TJ boy. Game 3 will be Hopeless versus Palkia. Hopeless doesn't really have too many notable achievements around the community and considers himself really bad. Aww. However, Hopeless is excited for this season of the DGBA and will not downplay any of the competition. At the end of the day, Hopeless just doesn't want to end up in the bottom 3 of the standings once the season is said and done. On the other side of the field, Palkia62 is another member of the admin team alongside Slick. They have seen success in the past in smaller leagues and will now try to prove their worth here in this highly competitive league. Now, let's begin. Hopeless quickly gets the lead correct, getting to throw off a flamethrower. Big Bear takes it pretty well, but loses a turn as Decidueye comes in. It gets a good exchange off against the Heracross, which then allows the Volcarona to come back in. Is it setup time? No, the Heracross just dies. Big Bear Ursaring comes back in and does the same thing it did earlier. Hopeless U-turns, expecting a switch, but the bear actually just stays in. Oh. Iron Valiant gets an unlucky burn. Let's just hope it ain't physical then. Oh, yeah, that's tough. That's tough for Hopeless. At the very least, it's able to knock off the bear's Eviolite, making it less tanky, and as a result, allows for Volcarona to come back in and claim another one. A really odd Golden Go comes back in that would make anyone think, the hell is happening? Tinkaton safely switches in as it reveals the Power Gem. Some monkey business starts happening, and it allows Volcarona to come in and get yet another kill. Palkia simply had no switch-ins to this mon, and it's starting to look like it's not even Quiver Dance. Azelf is unable to kill the Volcarona, adding it to the list of bug deaths. Golden Go finally finishes it off, but the game is looking very hopeless for Palkia. Dugtrio finishes off the Golden Go, and now it's just Regieleki. Unfortunately, the Tinkaton is very bulky and just decimates what remains of the Terra Ice Regi. Hopeless starts the season off with a 3-0 win over Palkia, and is hopeful that this won't be the last win of their season. CheezIts and Sablo face off for Game 4 of the week. CheezIts is a strong coach who likes more balanced builds. He's a fan of anime, games, and is currently a university student. Overall, a pretty normal guy, except if you face him in battle, he will mess you up. Unless it's me. He wouldn't mess me up. Smiley face. Sablo, on the other hand, is a very well-known player in the community. He has been around for a while and is what many would consider one of the players of all time. What that would mean is entirely up to you. He actively enjoys getting lucky whenever he can and does not feel any remorse for hacking others, so don't expect any hacks apologies from him in game chat. All that being said, coming into the season, he's probably one of the favorites to win it all. He won't be an easy opponent. Jumping into the battle, it's an Urshifu lead versus a Garchomp. And oh, it's not an Urshifu, but a Zoroark. Cheeky. It forces Sablo to take a big hit on his Torn and click Sludge Bomb, probably because it's his most accurate move and he didn't have U-turn, unfortunately for him. Already looking good for CheezIts. The real Urshifu comes in and gets an awesome exchange with the Gastrodon, forcing Sablo to use his eject button on Grimmsnarl in a way he probably didn't want to. A little bit of switching later, and Gastrodon comes back in with a vengeance, getting a big hit on the Urshifu. Urshifu does end up claiming his kill though, and then Zoroark comes in to claim one as well before the rocks could go up. Sablo snags one back, and then CheezIts makes a really good double to make sure that the Gastrodon never gets to heal up, as well as claim another kill with Urshifu. However, Cinderace comes in and things get spicy. It starts setting up, and looking at CheezIts' team, Pokeup looks very scary. And then after seeing that surf damage, sheesh! The fish ends itself, and now for what is possibly the best prep of the game, Sturdy Boots Magnezone. He gets an insanely clutch Thunder Wave off on the bunny to slow it down and make sure it doesn't finish off the rest of CheezIts' team, only losing Slowking to it. And now a soul for a soul as Urshifu comes back from the dead and trailblazes it up. It looks sour for Sablo, who gives it everything else he's got left, but ultimately, the Terra Fairy Torn doesn't save him. CheezIts, who might only just be getting started. I'm yelling Timber! Because Game 5 is Timber 2 versus Slap. Much like the song, Timber 2 exploded onto the scene recently by winning his first league ever. Since then, he took a short break but is back and hungry. He has only ever lost 2 Draft League games in his young career, and despite the name, Timber 2's favorite Pokemon is actually Gallade. He's a bit of a romantic, you see. He loves long walks on the beach, the notebook, and saying, "No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first." Also, he's the only coach in the league who has a co-captain, TCMTL, who has been in the community for a long time now and is known to be a very good player. So we'll see by the end how powerful this duo is, but only Timber will be doing the actual battling. Then there's Slap, who is a longtime player who used to be decent but now just plays for fun. Slap generally drafts more balanced teams, but does not play very balanced. They spend most of their time watching sports, which is why it is so hard to schedule Pokemon games with them. This is the first game to actually start with a little talk in the game chat, as Slap thought Timber was cheating by putting a Terra type on every Mon when each coach only had 2 Terra captains to begin with. Spoilers though, it's not cheating. Now for what is a great lead for Slap turns into a tragic one, as the Vaporeon just stays in and clicks Ice Beam over and over again, and it's doing a lot. Timber is just letting off attack after attack, not letting off the pressure. A surprise Defog Cleaver gets rid of all the hazards Slap worked so hard for, already reversing a lot of progress. The presumably choice specs Vaporeon comes back in and claims its first kill with Surf. Slap comes back in with Zapdos and gets some very lucky yellow magic with it, but then proceeds to get an unlucky miss on Hippowdon. The miss proves to be even more crucial than originally thought, as Hippo reveals eject button, meaning it would not have gotten rocks up had the Hurricane landed. Goodra comes in and lets off a D-Pulse, then even with a chance to defog, Timber instead goes for the kill. Slap doesn't overpredict though, and immediately takes the kill on Cleaver in return. Hazards are here to stay now. Enamorus comes in on the Lycanroc, which can only mean one thing, and that's Terra. At this point, it looks awful for Slap, as they're forced into Skeledirge to get damage on the Genie, but basically just dies. Dragapult revenges, but the story ends here as Scarf Outrage cleans up quite easily. A seemingly very one-sided 4-0 victory for Timber 2. Game 6 consists of Astif versus Ogubina. If you've heard that name before, it might be because Ogubina currently uploads Draft League content on his own channel. Respect. He's the biggest YouTuber among us, so of course he's going to feel like he has the most to prove. To my knowledge, he doesn't plan to upload this league, so does that mean I have an exclusive story? Yes! I'm getting kind of nervous just talking about him now. He's the goat and cool guy. Smiley face, can I get your autograph? Is what Astif might be saying facing off against Ogubina in this week 1 matchup. In my introduction video to the series last week, I mentioned Astif needing a ground type that Ogubina sniped from him. Well, you can see now the ground type he ended up with. I would have just dropped out the league before playing this game if I were him, being forced to draft the horse from Toy Story. No matter, as Astif has plenty of experience and doesn't plan to just drop dead. Off lead, Ogubina already looks better, but they actually just exchange hazards, which is arguably better for Astif. Iron Moth turns out to just be a utility set as it U-turns out into Tauros to take the hit. T-Spike turns out to come in clutch already as the Slowking probably didn't expect to die to Wild Charge plus Poison there. Bullseye comes out and gets his rocks up. Let's go, Bullseye! Meow comes in, but Astif should switch here. Bullseye! No! That damn cat. Chien-Pao the monster comes out and essentially wants a kill. And Chien-Pao doesn't ask, he takes. Though he doesn't get it immediately, after an Iron Moth sack, he gets it. Annihilate comes in, and then the coolest turn happens. Did you hear my jaw drop? Let's pause for a second. The Tauros comes in on Defiant Annihilate, increasing its attack, but with Mirror Herb, he increased his own attack in turn. And since the ape didn't click an attacking move, he was forced out, likely to not be able to set up again later. He claims the Heatran kill, then gets revenged by Gardevoir. Salamence comes in and tears into a bug type to Dragon Dance and ends the game right here and right now. Sorry, Ogubina, but Astif pulled out some really cool sets here, netting him the 3-0 victory. Incredible. Game 7 is a game between two people that are opposites, Phil and Moneyguy. Phil got carried by luck and other good players when he first got good at the game, and then became known for activity. Lots of activity. But now that he works 60 plus hours a week, uses all his free time to bang random chicks, and has already drank away all his brain cells, he struggles to win draft games. So even he doesn't know what to expect from himself this season. Moneyguy, on the other hand, well, not much is actually known about him. He's a real mystery, as he just comes into the Discord server to schedule his games and then goes offline. He kinda scares me, honestly. Oh, but I do know it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Moneyguy! Going into the game, Moneyguy gets the lead right, and Phil is looking mighty screwed already. Iron Hands is forced to take the Psychic as it was trapped due to Shadow Tag. The Bike Pokemon comes out and barely avoids being 2-KO'd by the Scarf Gothitelle, being able to get the Shed Tail off. Moneyguy essentially loses his Gothitelle for nothing as the Psychic doesn't break the sub. He's forced to take another big hit, this time on Chi-Yu, just to get rid of the substitute. Phil brings his doggy out. No, not that doggy. But it actually doesn't counter the Chi-Yu the way he had hoped. The Chi-Yu just Terra Fairies up and lets it rip, essentially making Phil lose him on for nothing. But he gets the kill back with Jolteon immediately after, as Moneyguy didn't have the ideal switch-ins to Terra Blast Ice. What seems to be a Scarf Duck comes out, or it's just a confirmed Specs Jolteon. Either way, he U-turns and gets his electric type in on the Pelipper. Yikes! Rocks go up but are quickly spun away by the Bike, who proceeds to take Rocky Helmet damage. Some clever prep by Phil here, as Safety Goggles Armarouge easily comes in on Amoonguss. However, that mushroom is fat because it eats the Psychic and then gets the poison, switching out to come back another day. Moneyguy gets his rocks up, but now he's down 5-3. Duck comes down and starts stepping on water, getting the double boost going. With Pelipper healthy though, it doesn't seem like a threat. Mushroom is sacked and then in with the other Fairy Genie. He gets a scary agility up, but is 2-KO by Surf. It Moonblasts and barely misses out on the kill, in return dying to the Toilet Bird. However, this was exactly what Moneyguy wanted. Demon Duck is in, and it's about to get saucy in here. And by saucy, I mean it clicks Aqua Step and wins. Brutal way for it to end for Phil. A very close 1-0 victory for Moneyguy, which is great for him since it's his birthday. Yay! And now, it's finally time. Game 8. Me versus Beardy. The game you have all been waiting for. Beardy is a silly little dragon. He believed himself to be far and away the worst drafter in the group, but then he saw how much worse some of the other drafts were, and now he's feeling extremely confident for the season. Anything less than an 8-0 season will be a disappointment in his eyes. As for me, my goal is simple: win the championship. Recently, I've been playing poorly in other tournaments around the scene, and people were starting to think I was really washed. And honestly, I was starting to believe them. So this season to me is a statement I'm making not only to others, but to myself. I have to win. I lead off with my Toxtricity against his biggest threat, Urshifu. He quickly lets off his Terra Steel, which catches me off guard, but makes me happy I don't have to predict it later. I reveal Scarf Tox and go and sack my Corviknight, as it was really only there to be sacked. I wish I was Helmet, but surely that won't matter, right? I'm able to go back into Tox and let off an Overdrive now, as he has no ground type or electric resist in general. I let off another one, not expecting him to click Earth Power, and though I missed out on the KO, he only clicks Toxic. I take back my kill. I switch out against Moltres because honestly, I was afraid and unsure of why it came in. Plus, I had an easy switch in with Eviolite Bisharp. I play around with my food for a little and get my rocks up, which should be important later. Bisharp takes a Surging Strikes though, and this is where Helmet Corp could have been great. I go into my Scarf Tox again and claim another kill. Espeon comes out and I don't know how I deal with it, so I just end up sacking my bird to it by mistake. I severely underestimated this cat. I'm actually forced to Volt Switch and sack my Lilligant too to it, but now Overdrive guarantees the kill and I can now see a path to winning this game. Bear comes into Aqua Jet as expected, and maybe I should have switched into Bundle, but I tunneled on the Bundle win and fully committed to it. I finished the Urshifu off, and now it's Bundle versus the world. Hawlucha comes in, and I get a little scared, I can't lie. Is it Yache Berry? Ice Beam won't kill them, but then what can I do if it is Yache? I lose no matter what, right? My thoughts start spiraling, and I hit my Terra button in a panicked state of mind. Thankfully, I kill Hawlucha, as now my Terra Ground Iron bundle with Terra Blast faces a Volcanion that just took Rocks damage. That's insanely good for me, because the Rocks actually guarantees the kill with Terra Blast, and I highly doubt he's Shuka Berry. At this point, this looks like my first win, and then this happens. I lose just like that. As it turns out, its item was Assault Vest, so it raised its bulk higher than I expected and ate the hit pretty well. This is a pretty crushing week 1 loss, as now I'm starting to reaffirm all those claims that I'm just really washed. Had I not given up my Toxtricity for free to Aqua Jet, or had I simply just not turned my Iron Bundle into a ground type, I think I could have won there. Get Freeze Dry damage off first, then proceed to Terra into the ground type and Terra Blast, as it's likely he can't kill Bundle when it was a Water Ice type. I start off my season with an 0-1 loss, and it hurts. Here are the standings after week 1. I currently sit at the 9th seed, which is just right outside of playoff seedings. Only top 8 spots make playoffs at the end of the season, and it's only week 1, so I'm still looking to get up there. I'm not worried yet, and now I have proven I can win. I just need to play a little smarter. Week 2 is next, and only time will tell how important these week 1 games will end up being. In only an 8-week season though, it's hard to imagine that they aren't important. We'll see what happens next week, as this is the DGBA. Come back soon!